Tonight, a new move for nearly 300 migrant children detained in filthy, crowded conditions. They've now been transferred to a tent camp after a national outcry set off when lawyers like Elora Mukherjee visited.
There is no access to soap. There's no access to toothbrushes. There's also a lice infestation, and these are the most appalling conditions I have seen in my 12 years of representing children and families who are detained.
That facility in Clint, Texas, is one of many packed past capacity as the government struggles to find space for the surge of undocumented immigrants being apprehended crossing the southern border. 144,000 in May, the highest monthly total in 13 years. Now the countdown is on. President Trump, in an abrupt about-face, announced on Twitter he's holding off for 2 weeks on deportation raids planned over the weekend. He's hoping to pressure Democrats to cut a deal to change asylum laws. Unlikely, but a goal of the president's as he tries to crack down on illegal immigration. The reversal on the raids prompted partly by a one-on-one call with the House Speaker.
So when I spoke to the president, I said, look, I'm a mom. Children are scared. You're scaring the children of America, not just in those families, but their neighbors and their communities. You're scaring the children.
Congress is also considering approving $4.5 billion in emergency money, mostly for food and medical supplies for unaccompanied children at the border.
But why let the political debate hurt these children? They could be impacted for years.
If the Democrats would change the asylum laws and the loopholes, which they refuse to do because they think it's good politics, everything would be solved immediately. But they refuse to do it.
And Hallie joins us now. Hallie, it doesn't look like those sweeping changes the president wants are going to happen within 2 weeks. So are we going to end up back in this same place?
It's absolutely possible, Lester. Keep in mind that even though the president says changing the asylum law would solve everything, it doesn't take that act of Congress to make sure detained children have toothbrushes, for example. As for that big aid package, the House could vote as early as tomorrow to advance it.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.